Welcome back to Streaming Media NYC. I'm Tim Siglin, contributing editor with Streaming Media Magazine and the executive director of the charity research institute here in streaming called Help Me Stream Research Foundation. And I'm here today with Evan from Tastemade. So Evan, tell me a little bit about yourself, and let's talk about Tastemade, and then let's talk about the Independent Streaming Alliance.
Sure, yeah. So I lead streaming for Tastemade.
Okay.
Tastemade's been around about 12 years now, and streaming really began as a business for them in 2018. I joined the company a little less than 2 years ago to really centralize that team. It's now the fastest growing part of our company. We reach 13 million viewers worldwide every month. 4 channels in the US focused on food, travel, home and design, and then Tastemade en Español. Then an international presence, including a local language channel in Brazil, produced out of our studio in Sao Paulo, and an international English language feed as well.
And so are the channels here in the States both on cable and streaming, or just streaming?
Just streaming, but we're on all the major virtual MVPDs as well as all the major FAST platforms. We're the most distributed streaming lifestyle channels.
Oh wow, very nice. So what is the Independent Streaming Alliance? I'm not really familiar with that.
Yeah, so the ISA was founded about a year ago by a bunch of independent streamers, folks who had been in the streaming world longer than anybody, who are, by our very definition, completely independent, not part of the major media corporations. And we came together because we saw that our ecosystem was approaching a point where we needed to be collaborative. We needed to start defining standards in order to overcome very predictable hurdles within the development of any kind of an ecosystem.
Sure.
That if we were to overcome them, we could really push the entire ecosystem forward. So we all wanted a seat at the table, and together we have a pretty broad reach. And so we've had a pretty successful first year just comparing notes and trying to understand how we can approach the various different, very large corporations that we all interact with on a daily basis. Folks like the Trade Desk, as well as all of our various different distribution partners.
Okay, interesting. So to me, one of the analogies might be, having worked in telco, you had the RBox, and then you had CTIA, which was the independent telephony providers in local areas. So in that, what's the end goal with ISA besides sort of comparing notes? Is there economies of scale in terms of distribution or production, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think, as of now, we are not necessarily working together in any sort of formalized business relationship. We have a charter that we've all signed, but we're not collectively bargaining or negotiating or anything like that at this point. It really is about finding areas where we can use our kind of collective might to push the industry forward. There are business decisions that are completely outside of the realm of antitrust or anything like that we can just kind of say, hey, this is the standard that we are all going to agree to because we think that it's the best one. And if we all say that this is how it's going to happen, then probably we can move the industry in that direction in areas like measurement and distribution, DEI, and demand.
Okay. Yeah, measurement, actually, that's an interesting point. I had a conversation earlier today where we were talking about Nielsen, and you probably remember, you've been around the industry for long enough that there were attempts to try to figure out how to take measurement in aggregate across cable and broadcast and streaming, and a number of those attempts were sort of publicly rebuffed because of the simple fact that whoever was getting the ratings felt like they weren't in the right position and like that. How would you all, as smaller independents, look at analytics and rating and that type of thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's start with measurement of this fragmented world is by definition pretty hard. It's hard to get a very accurate count of lots of relatively small things.
Sure.
It was a lot easier when there were only 4 channels. You could have a pretty reasonable error tolerance even then. But even as the cable world 20 years ago began to fragment pretty significantly, smaller cable channels were having problems with Nielsen and switched to ComScore to try to use that as a standard. So there are real technical hurdles here. What we are mostly focused on, like I said, trying to come up with standards. So things like, hey, branded content is coming into this world. How do you measure branded content in a streaming environment? And on top of it, we've become pretty focused on transparency. So, within the realms of our confidentiality agreements with our distribution partners, it would truly elevate the competitive landscape for us to understand a little bit more about what is going on between all of our various channels, even if it's just in a relative sense, and even if it is completely anonymized. Okay. The comparison for this is what the DG built for the EST and TVOD world, where all the major media companies came together, anonymized their data according to very predictable rules, and now you can, as an FP&A person at a major media corporation, you can better model what your title could do in TVOD because you have data, because you have real comparison.
Right. Okay, very good. Well, that's actually very heartening to hear that the smaller players are able to band together and have some influence in that. I appreciate your time, and we'll be right back with our next guest.